Well, hello YouTube. Alright, so today I'm trying to think of videos to make, and I thought of this because in this day and age you need to have this skill or do this in order to make money. And this will be tips on how to sell and talk to people on Craigslist. Because I know a lot of times you'll put something on Craigslist, you'll put it for what you think it's worth, and then there's those lowballers, they call them, that will talk you down the price and just piss you off to no end. So, here are the tips that I use to successfully sell items that I have and that I've done in the past that worked. Now, what I do is never sell it for what you think it's worth or what it is worth. Always put the asking price higher up. Because then what that does is, if you ask for, like, say if it's worth $1,000, sell it for like $2,000. So what happens is someone will see that, they'll be like, you're asking too much. They'll talk you down maybe $200, and you go from there. So that way, if they talk you down, versus if you start at $2,000 and they talk you down $400, you're still making more money. But if you started at $1,000 and they talk you down $400, you're just losing a lot more money that way. So when you're selling it, always ask for a bigger price. And then also there's these people that I've noticed with selling a car. They play these games where they'll message you and they'll be like, alright, I'll give you $1,200. And say you're asking $1,000 or $2,000, they'll be like, I'll give you $1,200. And then you'll be like, alright, I'll take that. But then they'll message you back again and they'll be like, how about $1,000? Can you please do $1,000? And they'll keep talking you down. So what I do to get them into the kind of the understanding of what I'm going through is I'll say, hey, someone just offered me this much, so maybe I can meet you a little bit higher up than that. So say you're asking $2,000 for the object, the person offers you $12, be like, well, someone just offered me $16, so how about we'll meet you halfway at $14. Sometimes that doesn't work, and they'll be like, no, $1,200, and then they're set at that. Depending on the object, that may not be a money gain, but it still ideally gives you that up and up on it. It gives you that little bit of a boost that you're still making more than you wanted. Now some people, they don't know very much, so if you ask more than the car or the item's really worth, they might pay you that because they don't know any different. And I mean, and technically it's not lying. If you sell something more than it's worth, it's not that you lied, it's just that they don't have enough skill to understand what the object was really worth, and they just paid whatever they did. And I mean, sometimes people, if they really want something that bad, they're not afraid to spend a few bucks to get it. So there's that. And then make sure you take good pictures and put them on Craigslist, because I hate that too. Like, I'll put pictures on Craigslist, and then people will text me like, do you have pictures of it? Like, I already have the best 4 pictures that I could possibly give you, and that's still not enough. So then you have to send them all these pictures. They always, they'll fight you on that, but just, you have to watch out for how people will they'll bog you down. They'll be like, alright, you're asking $1,000, I'll give you $600. Be like, no, just push those people away automatically, because they're just going to keep trying to bring the price down. I mean, I guess it's nature for someone to want to bargain you to get, so they have to spend less, but that's why I always just take the price and put it up. And there's already been times that I've sold things that I only bought for a certain price, and I sold it for double the price because I said the object, like, you just, depending on, like, sometimes when you buy a certain object, you may have paid a certain price for it, but the object's actually worth a lot more than you paid. So I did that once, that I bought something that was worth a heck of a lot of money, but I only bought it for a slim price. So I took that object that was worth a lot, and I sold it for what it was really worth, and I still ended up making double what I spent to get it, just because I got a deal on it. Then I tried selling it for its actual price, because I never used the object. I bought the item, never used it, and tried selling it for what it's really worth, and I ended up getting half of what it's really worth, which was still double what I made. So that's still a good gain. So you have to keep that in mind, that, sometimes you can't sell yourself out to make other people happy. And also with what you're selling, make sure you you really detail it. You have to make sure that everything's very detailed. Point out all the good things first, and make sure you're careful how you word the bad stuff. Like, instead of when you say the bad things, don't make it seem like it's really bad. Make it seem like, it's very minimal damage. Like, say if you have a car and it's rusty, and it's got rust in some spots, instead of saying, oh, well, the car is rusted all here and there, just be like, well, there's a few minimal rust spots. It's not a big deal, it's easy to fix. Always make it seem like it's easy to get around the problem, so that way it kind of draws the buyer in, and then they'll talk to you, and then they'll be like, well, when can I look at it? And then they'll look at the car, and then they'll see, like, they'll be like, oh, well, like, it just gets to that point that they'll look at it. And then this happened before that I sold the car, that I sold it what I paid for. I still ended up losing money because, with title transfer and stuff, I lost money. But I sold it for that much, and the person looked at it, and they're like, I don't want this. But then they ended up coming back, like, a week later. They're like, you know what, I want it because I can't find any other car for that price. They ended up buying that car off me because they couldn't find a better deal. So, always make it seem like it's a deal. Like, always just, first things, I always put out what's good about it, all the things that it comes with, or what's good about the object you're selling. And then after that, lightly touch the bad sides. Like, if something's got a little, like if you have a phone that's got a little crack in it, don't make it seem like it's a big deal. Make it seem very, very little. And sometimes they don't even notice things like that unless you point them out. But you just gotta be like, you can't make it seem like it's the worst thing, because then they'll be like, well, it's got all this good stuff, but then there's like 3 bad things that I don't want to really go with. I don't like those bad things. So they're gonna be like, you know what? Next seller, I don't want to deal with them. But if you make it seem like it's fixable, or that if it is fixable, make it seem like there's a lot of hope for it, then they'll be like, you know what? I have extra time. I'll put some time into fixing what's wrong with it, or to fix that little bit of a thing. But yeah, you have to work on how you talk to the person. Like, I always have it on Craigslist. I don't like when people call me. I like when they text me, because then it gives me time to think of what I want to say, versus on the phone it's kind of like on the spot. You have to talk. I always have them text me or email me, because in that way I have time to think of what I want to say and then put it down so that they can understand and I can word things better. But you always have to make it seem like there's other people interested. Like, and especially some people, they'll be like, alright, I'm really interested in this car. Be like, alright, well, I have to fit you in because there's a bunch of other people that are really interested in it. So then if you make the car seem like it's more wanted than it really is, then people are more drawn to, like, alright, I want that car, so when can I look at it? So then, in their head, they're more interested in the car than they really should be, because they think that everyone's after the car. So by you doing that, it's saying to them, alright, other people want it, I have to get to it first, I have to make sure I want it, and then it just gets their attention more. So, make sure you do that. You have to tell them there's other people interested in buying the object, that, just say that they're making offers on the project that are higher than what they did. Because I do that all the time, that people will say, like, oh, I'll give you this much for it, and then in my head I'm like, that's a little low. So I'll be like, alright, well, I just talked to a person, they looked at it, and they're giving me this much for it, so unless you want to top that or meet me closer to that number, I'm not going to associate with you. And always make sure that they actually have the money. Don't do those things that where people do, like, oh, I want the car and I'm going to buy it, but you have to give me 2 weeks to get the money together, because then that's just a whole mess on its own. So, you have to look out for these things. Make sure when you talk to the buyer that sometimes it's good to meet them in person to get to talk to them more. Make sure you have good communication with them, that they're not trying to rip you off. And don't ever let someone try to push down the price enough to make them happy. Make sure that it's what you want, and try to upsell it to make it seem better than it really is. So that when they look at it, you can be like, alright, well, there's this wrong, here's the good stuff, and then they'll actually see it. But it's just to get the buyer to actually want to look at the object to get them to buy it. So you have to keep all that in mind, and if you do all that, you should have a successful buy then. So, someone's texting me. On that note, I'm going to get going. hopefully this video will help. If you have any questions, maybe I can make another video, or I could give you a response. But that's personally what I do on Craigslist when I try to sell something, and to be honest, it works every time. If you do those things to get the people to attract the buyer, to do this, to do that, it works every time, because then the people, you have what they want and you can give it to them, but you just have to get them to look at what you have to give to them because they want it. Understand? Understand. Alright, so on that note, I'm going to go. I'm going to edit this video. I'm off today. I was asked to work, but I didn't, so I'm going to go. So you guys have a fantastic day, week, everything, and hopefully everyone that had power outages from the hurricane will be doing okay with whatever stuff they can't do without power, or stuff they can do with power. I don't know. God forbid someone can't charge their dildo because they lost power. Lord have mercy for that. I'm sure that's not going to happen, because a dildo uncharged is still usable. Just because it doesn't vibrate doesn't make it less. Alright. On that note, goodbye YouTube. Thank you for watching.